Where do I begin? Where? No adaptation is ever going to get it right. And I know that as a media scholar, but some adaptations, I just don't understand what the screenwriter was thinking. There are adaptations like this one that make me think that I should have been a screenwriter, and perhaps I'm being too confident, but I do think I could have written a better adaptation than J. Mills Goodloe. But at least we're both from South Florida. Everything by Nicola Yoon was published in 2015 and then adapted into a film in 2017. The novel, which is a New York Times bestseller, follows 18-year-old Madeline, or Maddy, who has a rare autoimmune disorder called SCID, severe combined immunodeficiency. It is also known as the bubble boy disease, which is a real disease, by the way. Actually, 1 in 58,000 children in the U.S. are born with SCID every year. But the most notable case is of a boy named David Vitter, who is the inspiration for many popular cultural representations of SCID, including the 2001 comedy Bubble Boy starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
And nothing is gonna stand in my way.
I remember hearing all of the buzz about everything when the movie was set to be released. And so, of course, like everybody else, I too rushed out to the bookstore to purchase my copy and devoured it in a day or two. I don't remember my initial feelings about the film, so that means I was probably either neutral or just completely ambivalent about it. However, I just reread the book 2 weekends ago and watched the film last weekend, and now I feel quite emboldened to share my thoughts with you today about this adaptation. Firstly, am I saddened that they replace Madeline's Japanese mother with an African-American actor? Yes, I am. What a great opportunity it would have been to showcase the complex relationship that Madeline has both with her mother and her father as a result of the cultural Japanese heritage she has from her mother's side and the cultural longing she has for her father's African American side. Don't get me wrong, Anika Rose is a great actor. I loved her in Everything. I loved her in Disney's The Princess and the Frog. I loved her in Maid. I loved her in For Colored Girls. But how amazing it would have been to see an actor like Kaiko Wajina play Madeline's mother. Fun fact, Ajina is of Japanese descent, even though she plays a Korean-American girl, Lane Kim, in Gilmore Girls. Secondly, couldn't the casting directors at least have cast a biracial actor of Asian descent to play Madeline? I mean, at this point, do I expect authenticity from Hollywood? I know that it will just lead to disappointment, but a girl can dream, right? And I love Amandla Stenberg. I have been writing about Stenberg in my research for years, but I just feel like Madeline's casting choice was a missed opportunity. Honestly, all they had to do was a simple search on YouTube to find girls who are currently living out this biracial life experience. And what a great opportunity Everything could have been to finally give them the spotlight, especially since that's what we readers were expecting. Just give us what we want. If Yoon was purposeful in making Madeline's identity half Japanese and half Black, then why couldn't the movie make that same choice as well? That's a rhetorical question. I know the reason.
Marketability.
I also don't feel that Yoon did a particularly strong job at constructing Madeline's biracial identity. It actually felt quite shallow to me, and thus was handled superficially in the film as well. In one instance, the camera kind of glosses over a photo of a racially ambiguous man. And then the second time, I believe Maddy and her mother, Patricia, take the photo and look at it and begin to talk about memories of him. But then that's about it. That's almost all we get of her relationship with her racially ambiguous father's side. What I do find interesting is how much more intentional Yoon was in constructing cultural identity in her second book, The Sun is Also a Star. And if you've read that book, you know exactly what I mean. Apart from being sick, Maddy doesn't have a lot to hold on to, and I know that is a part of the novel's plot. However, when it comes to the film, there's a lot of reflexivity and emotion that is removed as a result of how it shows up in the novel. And so when you're watching the film, it just feels very trite, especially her voiceovers. So essentially, when you're watching the film, it just feels like you're watching two extremely attractive teenagers, but of course they are young adults playing these characters, flirt awkwardly with each other for 2.5 hours. Of course, with the occasional splattering of drama and resistance from the adults in their lives. Although there are some moments I did enjoy in the film, I enjoyed the text message graphics. I thought that was a nice distraction from all of the awkward flirting that was going on. In the book, the interactions between Maddy and Olly happen over email. However, in the movie, it happens over text messages, which I feel like is a more realistic update. I also enjoyed the use of the astronaut in the film, which kind of reminded me of the trope of the imaginary best friend or sidekick. Since there aren't that many characters in the book because Madeline's sick and she can't interact with that many people, I just felt like the use of the astronaut in the film was a nice addition. Maybe that's it. Maybe the film is just too quiet as a result of there not being that many characters and not great dialogue. Although Olly's family situation is not quiet at all and is also handled poorly in the film, the scene after Maddy runs outside and tries to prevent Olly from being beaten up by his dad, when she is returned to the home by her mother sits her down and says something to the effect of like,
"I'm so sorry that Olly and his family has to go through that."
The woman is a doctor, and she knows that 2 children next door are being abused by their father, and all she can say is, "I'm sorry that they're experiencing that." I mean, is that the world we live in?
Or is that the world we live in Hollywood?
Not that it was handled any better in the book, but that flippant comment made me question Hollywood and Goodlow's sense of humanity. That also brings me to the point that Madeline's mother was also dealing with some serious mental health issues, which of course makes sense as to why she would be negligent to Olly and his family, because she was also negligent and abusive to her own daughter.
No. Did you touch anything?
No, it was less than a minute. A second is all it takes. I'm sorry.
And reading the book the second time, I did still appreciate how the book's main conflict was revealed, even though in the film it felt quite lackluster. And honestly, I think the only reason why the film wraps up well is because of Carla, and Carla was 100% my favorite character in both the novel and in the film. Since we cannot intervene, Carla does a lot of the interventions that, if not had been done, I think both the book and the film would leave us completely unhinged. Also, Carla looks nothing how she is described in the book. In my mind, she reminds me of the nursemaid from Romeo and Juliet, but in the film, she looks more like a model or the twin sister of Selma Hayek. Oh, and if you watched my Korea vlog, you would know that I had done some research on The Little Prince this summer in Busan, South Korea. So rereading the book, I definitely felt much more connected to Madeline as a result of her love for The Little Prince. However, she and I have vastly different interpretations of The Little Prince, so I feel like I need to reread it to see if I'm the one who's missing something. Did The Little Prince give up his life to be with the rose? At least that's what Maddy claims, but I don't remember having that interpretation of the ending at all. Perhaps I just need to reread it and maybe do a Little Prince commentary as well. Oh, okay. I could keep going about this adaptation, but I'm just going to leave it here. Feel free to share your comments about the adaptation and let me know your thoughts on how The Little Prince is interpreted by Maddy at the end of the book. Also, did you enjoy or not enjoy the adaptation of Everything Everything? Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.